Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Missouri Microbusiness Application Portal Overview. View. And of course, this is for the Social Equity Program in Missouri. Round 3. All this training material that you're going to see today comes directly from the Division of Cannabis Regulation's website, where they have a lot of training videos that will go over this. According to them, that is the newest training material. I think a little bit of it's outdated for the round 3 stuff, and I'll try to hit on what I think might be outdated as we go through it so that you have the most current and up-to-date information possible, even more current than the DCR's own training material. With that said, let's get into it. If you find any value in this training session, you can go to my payhip, payhip.com/high tight LLC, and you can download past microbusiness mentorship meetings and the supporting documentation. If you're interested, you could also buy 30 minutes to an hour of my time for a consultation to make sure you fill out your application correctly. If you want to watch this for free, please do so. If you feel like you want to support me, go buy the video, pay me $5. I would be your friend forever. And I don't have a lot of friends, so that would mean a lot to me. All right, let's get into it. As I said before, all this information has come from the Missouri Department of Health and Senior Services. So that's the DHSS and the DCR. Basically, people use those acronyms interchangeably, and they're really not. But for our purposes, they mean the same thing. So I will provide a link to where these tutorials are in the description below so that you can come here and see what these are for yourself. I captured all these screenshots from these 9 videos here, which are going over creating an account, welcome to your dashboard, general information, ownership, location information for your facility, the designated contact, questions and attestations, uploading documents, and then finally, application review and payment. Also, down here at the bottom, left hand, we're not going over this in detail right now, but if you submit your application and your application doesn't get selected in the lottery, you can get your application feedback. There's a video right here that shows you how to get that done. So first thing you're going to want to do is create an account. So go to the DCR portal, and I will also provide a link to the DCR portal. Go right here, put in your username, or actually you're going to want to create a new account. So start that process. Once you get in here, put all your stuff in here. Make sure that you put all the correct information. Use your real name, your real phone number, all that stuff. Once you get all that done, and click account, you've successfully completed an account. And now you can go back and log into the portal. One note of caution, I had a couple instances of major panic. Twice I tricked myself. This is the same portal where you'll go to get your agent ID. If you don't already have one, you'll need to go here and get your agent ID. If you already have an agent ID, this is where you'll see it. The portal looks exactly the same. It's, in fact, the login page is exactly the same for both. I logged into the wrong one time and thought that I had somehow deleted my application or the state had rejected it. I couldn't find it. I was in a panic. I didn't know what was going on. I just logged into the wrong thing. Don't be a chucklehead like me. Log into the right place and get started right off the bat. Once you do that, so under the license dashboard, you want to create a new application. Once you do that, boom, you'll see this window open up. See the license dashboard over there on the left? Click on that, new application, and then new micro business. Make sure you put all the correct information in here. Every place in this document is important that you put the correct information. Don't lie about anything and don't submit any false documents. Not only will that get your application rejected, it could land you in some legal trouble for doing some shenanigans like that, as it should for people that are going in here and screwing this up for everybody else. So put your entity legal name. Also, you see where it says entity legal name, and then there's a little I right there. That means you can click that and get a little bit more information about what's going on. So fill out all your stuff. If you need to get some more information, click that little thing. It'll bring up some information right here so you can hopefully understand it better. You got to come in here and select what kind of micro business you're going to get, a dispensary or wholesale. If you select wholesale, it will open up a new option down here at the bottom that my big fat head is covering up right now. For microbusiness wholesale applicants, click the drop down there and select all things that apply. For example, if you're going to be manufacturing any concentrates, you want to list it here. I would recommend you select everything because you might start off growing outdoor and then later wind up growing indoor or in a greenhouse. That way you got all your stuff covered. So you see there what it looked like before you select it. After you select it, they get a little green check mark. Then you can click close and basically review all your information here. And on the general information, you're done. You'll go to the next tab, ownership. This is really important. I'd like to draw attention to the fact that the state, I think, has filled out this application in a way that would get it rejected. If you look down there at the very bottom where it says individual owner percentage, if this is the majority owner, you have to be the majority owner. 50% is not owning the majority of the business. You got to own 51%, and you have to also control 51%. You want to put all your information in here. You can put, if you have partners, it doesn't matter which order, you can put yourself or them in first, but you got to put enough information in here so that the voting interest and the ownership percentage both equal 100%. So fill you out here. If you're 51%, then you have to account for another 49% worth of voting interest and ownership percentages. Once you fill yourself out, put your own information in there. Now you can go down here and select a couple things where they need to know if this individual's financial or voting interest contribute towards the calculation for majority ownership. Be sure you fill out those correctly. Once you're done with that, now you can fill out stuff. If you have any partners, you're going to need to come in here and fill out all their information too. And then you're going to need to fill out a bunch of information about residency and zip codes and all the information about why you are an eligible applicant for this process. So for example, me, I'm a disabled veteran, but if I'd also been arrested for a nonviolent cannabis offense, that would be another put every reason why you qualify in here, select yes for it. If your income is less in the poverty level, if you live in a zip code that's in the poverty level, or where the cannabis crimes have been unfairly prosecuted, all those are ins. Select every one that you qualify for. You only need to qualify for one, but for example, if I had submitted my disability paperwork from the VA incorrectly and the state rejected that, and I still was eligible under like the poverty level or the $250,000 or less net value or net worth, then I'm still in because I still had a legitimate path in that I had the proper documentation for when I submitted the application. So fill this out correctly and honestly. Once you do, it's going to give you a summary of everything, which is a nice feature here. And then you can click the next button down at the bottom, and you're going to fill out this process again. You'll go through the same process again for any other partners or investors or people that hold voting interests in your company. It'll give you a nice little summary for everybody, blah, blah, blah. Click submit on that, and we're moving on to the next thing, location information. I'm going to do an entire episode over how to select your location and do the floor plans, because that was probably the hardest part for me for submitting this document, was figuring out how to find, first of all, how to even find a compliant location, and then how to come up with a floor plan. So we'll go over all that in another meeting. I'm not going to address it in depth here, other than to say that once you find a compliant location, it doesn't have to be a place that has an address. It can be a piece of property. And if that's the case, you go to Google or wherever you can find the GPS coordinates for, and you can just drop those in there right there. If you go that route, you're going to have not really a problem, but your facility mailing address. There's not a mailbox at that piece of property or a way for anybody to deliver mail. The DCR wants to know how to get in touch with you. So put your home address, or if you have another location that's the front for the business where you would be receiving male, put that address in here. Designated contact and majority owner contact. I think this is going to be different in the application process this year because of the rule changes that they've gone through. Now there's, in previous rounds, the majority owner and the designated contact could be two different people. So the actual person that was getting granted the license was going to be the majority owner contact, but shell corporations were coming in and filling out a lot of applications on behalf of other people and then listing themselves or a shell corporation as the designated contact. And that made it difficult for the DCR to actually communicate with the actual license holders. And for other reasons, it made the whole process incredibly unfair to everybody. And so now I think the designated contact and majority owner contact are going to be the same person. So you want to go in here, however it looks when they finally open up the website here in less than 2 weeks. Well, less than 2 weeks now, on the 13th. That's 12 days away. Go in here, of course, it's like a broken record, put correct information in here. If you put any information in here that's on any other micro business application, that would probably be a way to get your application rejected. Be sure that you submit all this information appropriately and correctly and accurately. If you have anybody that's listed on this, that's listed on any other micro business license applications, that will get your application trashed. Once you select your address, just make sure that you go through this little verification thing to select your correct address the way the DCR wants it formatted properly. I think the only difference between the entered address and the verified address in this example is that everything was written in uppercase in the second one. Once you verify your address, you're good to click save and next, and then you're on the next screen. Questions and attestations. This is going to be the one where you have to answer all these questions that will either qualify or disqualify you from getting a license. So you better answer yes to most of these questions. I'm not going to go through and, well, maybe I should. I'm going to go ahead and read these to you just in case you're looking at on your phone and you can't read this tiny print. These are all the questions and attestations that you have to read. And you need to move my big head closer to the screen so I can read it. Do you attest that the purported facility location complies with all the location requirements? Do you attest that no individual subject to analysis for a disqualifying felony offense has a disqualifying felony offense? Do you attest that all individuals subject to analysis for a disqualifying felony offense will submit fingerprints? Everybody, if you win a license, you have to submit a fingerprints anyway. The state's going to do a little background check on you. Have any individuals subject to analysis for a disqualifying offense be previously submitted fingerprints? They're really interested in that. Do you attest that the applicant entity does not have an owner who is an owner of an existing medical, comprehensive, or other micro business license? Right there, it's saying if you have interest in another cannabis facility or micro business, you shouldn't be on this application. Do you attest that the applicant entity is not and will not be under substantially common control, ownership, or management as a testing facility, which would create a little conflict of interest if you're growing cannabis and testing it, or selling it and testing it? Do you attest that the entity, which includes an individual holding ownership interest on this application, is not also holding ownership interest in another micro business application submitted in the same application time period pursuant to blah, blah, blah? And they list all the places in the Constitution or the law where those regulations are listed, so you can look it up if you want to. Do you attest that the entity is not or will not be owned by an affected entity that holds a contract with the state of Missouri related to the department's marijuana program? Another conflict of interest question. Do you attest that all marijuana product produced, manufactured, and sold by the licensee or will be originated from marijuana grown and cultivated in the licensed Missouri facility? Do you attest that any tetrahydrocannabinol, such as THCA, Delta 8, or Delta 10 in marijuana product manufactured or sold by the licensee will be derived from marijuana cultivated in Missouri legally? Do you attest that the space utilized by the applicant entry for the facility operations is or will be approved by the department pursuant to blah, blah, blah? And it has to be. You have to get a commencement inspection before you can start operations. Do you attest that all required employee training is or will be completed? Do you attest that all final marijuana product is or will be compliantly packaged and labeled? Do you attest that all marijuana product is or will be transferred appropriately? Do you attest that the applicant entity is or will be in compliance with all applicable state, local, and federal requirements? They want to know if you're going to follow the law. Do you attest that the information provided in this application is true and correct? Once you have that all nailed out there, you put your little name and date down there and click save and next, and you are done on this one. Documents. All those qualifying reasons that you are able to submit an application, such as veteran status or low income or prior cannabis arrests, you're going to have to provide supporting documentation for. When you come in here, you just look for the one that suits your criteria and click the upload button. When you click the upload button, another window will open up and you can just drop your files right in there. Once you've got all your relevant documentation uploaded, you just click save and next, and you're off to the payment section as a final step in the process. When you are ready for payment, it is going to come in here and it's going to give you a review of everything that you've completed. And all the green check marks mean that you filled it out completely and you're good to go. This will not let you go to payment if you don't have everything filled out fully and completely. Once you get all your documentations in there and all your stuff filled out properly, it will let you print and submit. Once you get to the print and submit section, you hit the home stretch here. When I submitted mine last year, I think I used a credit card. I don't know about the e-check. I just paid the extra $30 and 25 cents or whatever it was. I do know that the application fee is going to be $1,500 this year, just like it was in rounds 1 and 2. Once you submit your payment, you're done. So congratulations, you successfully completed your application and submitted it. I'm very happy for you. And like I said, if you're not feeling comfortable about your application, you want me to take a look at it and review it with you before you submit it, I'm happy to do that. You can go to my PayHip account and set up an appointment with me where you can buy 30 minutes to an hour of my time, and I'd love to do that with you. Until then, hopefully we'll see you every Wednesday at the Missouri Microbusiness Application Program Mentorship Group. That'll be tonight and every Wednesday night until this application thing is over with. So I'll look forward to seeing you tonight and every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. I'll leave a link to the Google Meet in the description as well. Thank you so much.